like I already own it. Standing on top cause I earned this moment. I took what was mine, now I won't let go of it. Cause I'm a hustler, yeah I'm a hustler. Cause I'm a hustler, yeah I'm a hustler.
From downtown Nashville, this is SOAR Talk with your host, Christina Livingston, featuring special guest Josh Wright and aerial footage provided by Music City Aerial.
And welcome to another episode of SOAR Talk, Nashville's first roundtable real estate talk show to discuss all things real estate in Nashville, market trends, and different types of careers. I'm your host, Christina Livingston, owner and founder of SOAR. Today, my special guest is Mr. Josh Wright of the Wright Group at Compass in Nashville. So Josh, thanks so much for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I'm glad you're here. You have a really unique story, not only in real estate, but even in your background and some of your passions. So I'm excited that you guys get to hear more from Josh today on all the things that he does. So
Great.
Tell me a little bit about how you got started in real estate and what you were doing before real estate. We'll start there.
Sure. Belmont brought me here to Nashville, and I was pursuing music and Christian music specifically, and did a TV show in that, had a couple management deals. And ultimately, by the time I had done that for maybe about a decade or so, I was watching the Olympics, which they're about to come on, and I'm a huge Simone Biles fan. And so I was watching the Olympics, and I saw that one of actually the male gymnast, Alex Naddour, had his real estate license. And so it opened the door to me thinking, it's like, well, if he can do world-class gymnastics and real estate, then maybe I can do world-class music.
Wow.
And real estate as well. And since I've actually texted Alex and I've said, hey, you don't know me, but thank you, like me seeing what you did really helped me start this career. And,
wow, you texted him. How did you get his phone number, first of all?
Agents want you to have their phone number, so you can find it really easily.
Okay.
But he's an agent, and he responded back and was very grateful. He was like, you just never, I think it was good for him to know that, and ultimately it's gone so well. So I wanted to just say thank you to him. Yeah.
Wow. I don't even think we knew that. That's obviously apparent by the look on my face. That's super cool. All right, so you mentioned that you were on a few shows. I love your humility. You want to tell the audience what show you're on?
Sure. So I was a top contestant on season 12 of American Idol. And then I had the same manager as Amy Grant, and was signed to a trio shortly after American Idol was set to go to radio. Had some personal, my family lost my brother, so we pulled the plug on the radio tour I did. And it was this really upbeat song, and then I was like, that's just not the right timing. And so, that's what I got to experience. And ultimately, I think real estate just provided an opportunity to just take a break.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So what he's not telling you is brother can sing. Anyways, we'll move on from the music part. But I do love that you actually reached out to the person that inspired you. I feel like that brings such an intrinsic reward for anyone in leadership, no matter what the industry or no matter what you're doing in life. And that's always good for them to hear. Yeah. So I love that you actually have some sort of connection with the person that inspired you to get into real estate. So how long have you been in so far?
I just celebrated 4 years a couple of days ago.
Wow.
So I was director of first impressions at Keller Williams, and then I got my license about 9 months later and hit the ground running, and it's gone so well. So.
And now you're a team leader.
I'm a team leader. So I started on a great team over at Keller Williams, and saw that team rise in the ranks from about number 7 to at one point we were number 1 at the number 1 market center in all of Tennessee at the time.
Wow.
They had done like 1.2 or 3 billion in a year. And anyway, got to see the changes that happened within that business that I think helped allow that growth to take place. And ultimately on December 18th, the same day that I built and bought a new home in Brentwood last year. And the same day that I closed on that house is the day that I opened the Wright Group. So I did a lot, maybe too much in one day, but I was like...
He's like, go big or go home, just change everything.
Right. So I did all of that, all of those changes were made in one day, so...
So that was December of 2020, and it's now end of June 2021 as we're filming this.
Right.
And he has gone from essentially being a high-performing team member to a continually high-performing team leader. So now you have people on your team. So tell me a little bit about your team.
I do. I have just 2 agents now.
What brokerage are you with currently? I
I'm
forgot
with
to ask.
Compass.
Okay.
I'm with Compass Real Estate.
Okay.
So they just offered a lot of great marketing, great technology systems. I think they're the leader in technology
I've
and
heard
real
that.
estate.
They're like
really,
a tech company that does real estate. Is that right?
They really are. Like Robert Refkin, who helped start the company, was an advisor to Jeff Bezos of Amazon. So we really,
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that.
really are a tech company. It's the best that it can be done. And it just helps. Basically, I have systems in place that gives me more time on my personal life, as well as a marketing team that helps me make everything look better than it's ever looked before.
Wow, I love that. You know, how is the culture, would you say? How would you say the culture is at Compass?
I think Compass, I'm still learning the culture, to tell you the truth, because COVID allowed us to,
that's
we
true.
haven't been around each other.
Yeah.
So I can't really speak a ton of that. I've been to 2 meetings, so I have all of 2 hours of experience.
Okay.
Because of COVID, we've only had actually 3 team meetings, and I've been able to make 2 of them.
Wow, okay.
So I'm still learning the culture.
Yeah.
They've attracted the #1 group leader in
Right.
Aaron Kruger. They've attracted Nina Lampley, who's one of the top salesmen for solo or team. I think, does she have a team now?
Roots.
Roots has a
Nashville.
team. Yeah.
Well, you know, Nina and I,
They grew up.
we kind of grew up together. Yeah.
She's.
Well, we were not our whole lives, but we went to grade school together, and we've known each other a long time. Have a ton of mutual friends.
Yeah, and she helped bring
Obviously,
me on
we
the
love Nina.
Yeah.
Hey, Nina, if you're watching this, we've invited you to come on the show, and I love you so much. And I know you're like in some foreign country, having the time of your life right now. But come on the show when you get back. I love you so much.
Yes, I love you too. But yeah, she's who helped bring me onto Compass.
Oh,
as
really?
well. So she
Okay.
really vouched for me, and having one of the top agents in our city say Josh is a rock star, go get him. Like that really helped with my.
Let me just tell you, Nina
transition.
is no smoke blower. If she
doesn't.
says it, she means
No,
it.
she really
Yeah.
means it. So,
Okay.
So it was great. And I've seen my business go, I did about $7.5 million in my first year, then 10 to 12 million second year. My last year on the team was about 15 million, somewhere around there. And
Josh,
this year,
just hold on a second. I have never heard anybody tell me they did $7.5 million their first year.
there's people who have, for sure. There's people who've done more than that.
Now, you know I own National
It's
Agent
rare.
Database, right? You know I own the database, like the data.
Sure.
I have it. I've literally never, and it's not that it doesn't exist if I haven't seen it. I'm not like, God, I haven't seen everything.
they exist. They're rare.
But that's
It
an
takes
anomaly, I'm sure.
I did see
That's wild.
someone who posted something, and it was like this really big accomplishment, like it's the way it seemed. And then I looked, I was like, my numbers are better than that. But it was like,
Oh, wow.
it was, anyway, I just feel very grateful, very blessed. But it's really about the people you help. And
Okay, let
that
me take you
grows.
back though. You said you did $7.5 million the first
Oh
year.
yeah, $7.5 million, then
Okay.
10 to 12, then 15, and then this year on my own, like it was a really big risk I
Yeah.
felt, because I was leaving a 6-figure income on a team, and a lot of those leads, like I can't take total credit for it, because part of a job in real estate is really where that business originates. That's a very
Yep.
expensive endeavor for
Yeah.
leads and all that. So I was given a lot of opportunity because I stewarded a small opportunity through Realtor.com leads, and then that grew me into the Dave Ramsey ELP program, and then I got to lead the be in charge of buyers and sellers for that whole program. And within about a year, I was the #2 top representative in that entire program for buyers.
Oh,
and I was
wow.
competing against people that were 10 times, had been in it so much longer than I had. And so anyway, this year it looks like 15 to 20 million.
That's insane. On your own personal production.
I still have some carryover. Like I had a lot of new construction under contract whenever I left, so not all of that is generated by myself, but it's becoming the majority. So
That is insane. You know, here's the thing. You know, I love this guy, Josh. He's like my brother, basically. So I always tell all of my beautiful, wonderful community members that I have dubbed Josh as Nashville's most eligible bachelor among faith-based women. I want to say that last part again. Among faith-based women. Do not approach my brother in the Lord unless you are coming correct with some faith, sister. I feel like you've been growing it smart. Talk to us a little bit about,
Yeah.
you're being very, very careful, cautious, seeking counsel. Walk me through all the activities you're doing to build your team at the Wright Group.
I've just been in school. I went and sought out, I looked at who's the number one team in the United States.
Okay.
Who's the number one team in Tennessee? And then also who's doing business, and regardless of how much production they're doing, whose life looks like a life that I'd like to have.
We'll be right back after these short messages.
James Harper from Primary Residential Mortgage in Hendersonville. I wanted to share with you something that most people don't know. Paying a large down payment on your existing mortgage or a double payment does not mean you can skip or pay less of a payment the next month. You always have to pay your original note payment every month until it is paid off. If you want to know more, you can always reach out to us at NashvilleMortgageLenders.com.
And so I've sought counsel in all of those areas. The number one team is going to do close to $2 billion this year. So I've been connected with them. The number one team is in Tennessee. I'll probably start that coaching program this fall.
Okay.
And I hired a coach.
Are we talking about a female-led team
We're
or a
talking
male-led
about
team?
we're talking Aaron Kruger.
Okay.
I want to
clarify.
seek that out. I don't know all of the details, but I'm interested in what that looks like. There's wisdom in a multitude of counselors. So from the very first start of whenever I started this career, I would not just take one answer as like, this is true. Mm-hmm. Like if I didn't know an answer, I would reach out to 2 or 3 people.
Right.
And I'm doing that as I lead a team. There just feels like there's more responsibility on it now because there are other agents that are relying on me to provide leads, relying on me to help coach them through an unprecedented market right now that is not amateur hour. So I've actually scaled back a little bit of bringing on new agents and just helping focus on the agents that I have and the administrative side of it so that they get the attention they need. Right now, it takes anywhere from 5 to 10 or 15 offers to get a single client under contract. Jeez. And I've never functioned in that market. And that's whenever you're waiving every contingency. I'm turning every client into cash. I'm partnered with one of the best lenders here in Tennessee, Tanya Escabel, which is a close friend of yours as well.
Tanya Escabel is a part of the nucleus of the sponsor family of sponsors, just because she is, I can speak from experience. She's one of my biggest competitors in my 15 years in mortgage. Yeah. I call her the legend in real estate, in mortgage, really, just because she literally is a living legend in mortgage, and she does a fantastic job.
She does, and it's taken the highest caliber lenders, appraisers, inspectors. I really mean it. Right now, it's not amateur hour.
So you're partnering with the best, and what else are you doing?
Hired a coach, so I have a coaching call every week. Which is coming up very soon after this meeting, to make sure that I
Josh's on a schedule.
I am, because yesterday I had a closing, and tomorrow
He's a busy man.
Tomorrow I have 5 closings in a day, which is the most I've ever had, and I'm like. And I did not schedule that. I just had some things that got delayed we needed a survey, so it got bumped to the 30th. We needed this, and then this got bumped. And so by the time I was done, I was like, oh my gosh, I have 5 closings tomorrow.
In one day.
And then you have all the final walkthroughs, and I'm planning to not work for Thursday.
There you go. Just take take the rest of the day off. And plus it's a holiday weekend. It's a good time. Yeah. I don't know if realtors even get weekends off.
I actually got this past weekend off for the most part, which is great. I think God knew I needed it.
You probably do.
This week.
You probably do. I feel like every time I see him, his schedule is just increasing, That's created a challenge. I mean, that's ultimately why I've started the team, is because it allows, and I'm going back to the studio recording music again for the first time. Oh, good.
And honestly,
when did you start that?
Yeah. Today's Tuesday.
No, is today Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Wow.
Monday.
Okay.
So started vocal lessons and finishing out some songwriting for songs that I've worked on, and I'm singing on Rachel Hell's project. She and I were on American Idol together, and I had sang background on this song 4 years ago, and it just came out last week.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm singing on Scripture.
What's the name of the song that came out last week?
It's called Promised Land, and then I've gotten to sing. Sang for other artists in Disney and Natalie Grant, and sang for something called Scripture Lullabies, and that's coming out. So that's rolling out this month as well.
I'm
singing a lot of music things
that's
that I've
the project
recorded.
I'm the most personally excited about. So Josh and I, when we sort of connected, I don't even really remember how in the
It's
world.
Tanya.
Yeah, that's right. It was
connected us.
Tanya. It was
Yeah.
Tanya. And when we first connected, I guess we connected on social, and I had seen Josh was playing around on the piano. He's apparently some sort of like,
I'm a better singer than I play piano, but I
World-renowned
took
piano
14
player.
years of piano lessons.
That's not what I
so,
heard.
yeah.
That's not what I heard. I heard
I can play.
you played at some pretty big places.
Sure.
I think Tanya's who told me that actually.
Sure. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So anyway, no, I had seen one of your videos, and honestly, hearing you perform, it was so anointed. It was just at that time. I was actually, that's when SOAR started to explode, was in like November, December of last year, 2020. And I had heard he was just recorded a little 30-second clip video. And the anointing, a piece that just came off of that video, I literally fell asleep for the first time in like months. I could finally turn my brain off. The anointing of the Lord came, and I fell asleep. I was like, hey, this is cool. And I felt better. I slept better. So I'm really excited about this project you have
I'm
because
really
all I
excited
know
about
is
it,
the
too.
little 30-second clip you did. And so I'm looking forward to hearing that.
I'll play it for you. I have it, but it's not released to the world just yet.
Oh, when
They
is it
just-
coming out?
It'll roll out. They're doing a waterfall release to where it comes out. Like they'll release single to the point where by the time we're done or they're done promoting it by the end of July or early August, the whole record will then be released.
We'll be right back after these short messages.
Devin Norcross Consulting Service here with another helpful credit tip. Today I want to talk about settling debt, pros and cons. Sometimes settling accounts will impact your score in a positive manner, sometimes it'll impact your score in a negative manner. What I find is that settling revolving accounts has a positive impact. The more recent that account charged off, the more positive it's going to impact the score. Settling installment accounts typically is going to have a negative impact. The older that account is, the more it is going to negatively impact your score. Settling collections can have a fantastic impact if, as a contingency of that settlement, you are agreeing for a full removal or deletion of that item. Now, there are some other things to consider. Tax implications mainly. When you settle an outstanding debt for a savings of $600 or greater, you now qualify for a 1099-C, which is a taxable gain form. If you settle a large account, like a $40,000 account for a small balance like $5,000, you technically made $35,000 and you need to post that as a gain when you summarize your taxes at the end of the year. Expect that creditor to issue you a 1099-C. Sometimes debt is charged off, meaning that they are not going to collect on it. Sometimes it's charged off and they're still trying to collect on it. So charge off is really a parking for a tax delineation. If a creditor has issued you a 1099-C and you have not paid that debt, they are not looking to collect on it. They need to wipe the balance completely off your credit report. So if a 1099-C has been issued, no longer should there be a balance associated with that charge off on the credit report. Again, Devin Norcross here, Norcross Consulting Services. I have a Calendly link below. If there's anything I can do to help you or your clients out, please let me know.
I want to circle back though when you were talking about there's wisdom in a multitude of counselors.
Counselors,
I
sure.
like the fact that you said you ask more than one person. I kind of took that same approach.
You
whenever.
do.
Well, Josh is also now one of our SOAR expert contributors. He's not afraid to rebuke me and tell me when I shouldn't do something. That's when I knew he was like a trustworthy person. I was like, okay.
I wouldn't
you
call
just
it
went-
rebuke. It was just.
It was a loving rebuke.
It was a loving like.
It was like,
maybe
sister girl, don't do that.
Maybe don't have an award with that title.
Yes, yes. So we took that into consideration, and anyone that can speak truth to me and is known for a high level of not just performance, but also being, high level when it comes to being ethical, making right decisions. We keep our eye on that. Eventually, we sort of extended an invitation for Josh to become one of our SOAR expert contributors. I want to talk
At first,
about
I
that.
wasn't old enough, but then she made the the change of like, okay, I can talk to someone who's
He is
on my
not wrong.
level.
He is not wrong. Josh is younger than me, and I'm 38, and I think you're
33.
3. Okay. So I said, you know what? Wisdom can come from anywhere, and so this guy's full of it. So we'll take your, not full of, full of
Right.
wisdom.
Right.
Open mouth,
Full of it,
insert
too,
foot,
sometimes.
choking, dying.
Yeah.
Let's move on. I want to talk about something really quickly, though, in terms of SOAR expert contributors. We've made Josh a part of that just because he is a truth teller. You were talking about whenever you ask someone for advice, you don't just take the first answer. I really dove the deepest I've ever gone into asking a bunch of people for counsel when I decided to step out and do SOAR Awards in person in the middle of a pandemic when no one else was doing in large in-person gatherings. No one else, like, they were all canceled for the year.
Yeah.
And then I found out we were the first to come out and say, hey, we're going to do our awards. Well, it was outdoor on a rooftop, red carpet, very classy, very well done.
And smart and wise, and like we had space and it was outdoors just like you said, but there also Scripture Lullabies was the first project to bring string players back into the studio. There's a lot of things that I'm seeing be the first.
Really?
Like it's like people like pioneering, which is what you're doing with SOAR, it's what I'm doing with the Wright Group. It's pioneering something. It's not that there aren't people that you're standing on shoulders in some ways and you're learning from. But for me, it's like, what's the best practices that have been done and how do I incorporate the best practices, but also improve what can be improved upon? Like one of the things that I've created is something like I use jot form at a really high level, which is where I'll send about 20 to 25 questions before I ever meet with a client.
Jot form?
So I use jot form a lot within my business.
I don't know what that is.
It's like a Google Sheets form. It's basically a questionnaire.
Oh, okay.
It's an elevated questionnaire that allows them to choose.
It's so elevated, I don't even know that.
Well, you're a member of SOAR, so you got to get, SOAR over there.
I'm going to spread my wings and learn how to jot, honey.
But it's really been great because it's allowed me to learn what my clients are looking for. And I think just learning how to listen more, not only to my mentors that I'm surrounding myself with, to my colleagues, like that. You asked me the culture at Compass. Compass puts me with the people who are doing the most business right now in our city. And I had the opportunity to go to another brokerage where I would have been the number 1 or number 2 agent out of like 150, something like that. And they shared that. They're like, if you come here, like you can be like
top dog.
One of the top dogs.
Yeah. And
I went to a brokerage where I'm in the middle because I wanted to be better and I didn't want to be falsified, like this pseudo surface level success. And I wanted to be around people that were doing more than I was doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I felt like, it definitely has been like the path of resistance on that because I've worked 70-hour work weeks some weeks and
I know all about those.
Yeah. It hasn't been easy, and I hope I'm a little tired, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also learning the balance of rest, and I don't have near the amount of anxiety that I used to with like 2 little deals that I'm like trying to nurture to the closing table. Now I can have 10 active clients at the same time, and your capacity just grows. And one thing that I've Kristen Cole she has the number 2 or 3 largest expansion business within the Keller Williams format. And she's very close friends with John Maxwell, who's a great Christian leader in the area of business ethics and leadership development. And basically he said, like, once you experience success, what you have to really protect from is distractions. And so before we started this conversation, it's like, what do you want to talk about, Josh? And like, are you growing your team? Like maybe invite that. Like I have agents that are interested in joining the team. They're agents that I'm actually pursuing in some ways because I think they would be a great fit and asset, and I think we could help each other out. But ultimately it's that right fit and not find, like sometimes people look at anybody that's successful in anything and they're like, how do I do what you're doing? And it's like wading through, like, do they have what it takes? Am I the right boss fit for them? Or am I going to be holding them up because I'm not ready? Like there was one hire that I made at the beginning of my career that didn't quite work out. And part of it was I wasn't ready for that person. And so you learn, not only did they have what you're looking for to bring to the table, do you have a world big enough for them to grow in?
That's really, really wise because it takes the kind of person that doesn't have any ego that can say, be honest with yourself. A lot of people are really afraid to get really honest internally with themselves in their own inner dialogue and say, this is who I am, this is who I'm not, this is what I have and what I don't have or capable of or not.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's a lot of wisdom. I mean, you could say, partially that's humility, but another part of that is
God
just being
promotes
honest with
humility,
yourself.
and I want to be promoted. Like James
Yeah.
4:10, like humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up.
Yeah.
Like if we want to be lifted up from a Christian perspective, humility is the route to get there, and you can't have false humility and then be like, all right, I'm ready to like launch into this new platform or whatever it is. But if it's done with true humility, like I've seen that done at the church that I go to Nashville Life Christian Church, and I really believe they're so led by the Holy Spirit. They're so led in when that person is promoted. We have the best worshipers that their lives line up with it. And so I say that with humility of like God really does promote humility, because truthfully, like even I've seen people that get promoted and the longevity is not there. That's why we look at people like Billy Graham, and we look at people like I look at someone like CeCe Winans, who's like still joyful all these years. And you're just like, that's a lot of choices to remain that way.
Yes, because it's easy to become jaded.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, I even just this 6 or 7 months, I felt used. I felt all of those things. I felt
It's probably a lot of new emotions coming in.
it's different. It's a different
experience.
Expectation, or I felt like places where my pride needed to die, because it's just like I had to really own up and say, you know what, I really wasn't ready for that person. Did they do everything the way that I would have done and live up to integrity? No, not in every way. But I'm only responsible for the way that I carry myself.
Amen.
And for the way that I lead this business. And honestly, now people are looking at every team meeting, every meeting I go into, like we're leading whether we know we are or not. It just depends.
That is very true.
And it depends, like the amount of people that are actually following you, that I think describes the caliber of your leadership. But you're leading in some way.
You know, one of the things that I've kind of found over the course of time, because I'm not a huge Instagrammer, I'm not, you know, I don't have a ton of friends on Facebook. It's like not even 5,000. It's almost 5,000, but not quite there yet. It's not like I'm maxed out or anything.
Sure.
One of the things that I've found is that sometimes influence, instead of being spread wide, goes really deep and narrow. And so I often kind of tell people, hey, I'm not a huge Instagram influencer, but I have a great deal of influence in these 3 lanes. You know, whether it's ministry, it's real estate business, and it's, marketing and media. And then of course with ministry, it's always women-based. And so I always tell folks, like, I'm well connected, but it might not necessarily look that way on Facebook. And what happens is I hear stories sometimes about my own leadership. Like I'll tell one of my personal stories to some woman who is a real estate agent or who's a mortgage lender, who will go and tell my testimony to somebody else. And then that'll get told again. And then I'm getting a third party. Like it's gone 3, 4, 5 people down the line. In fact, I have a girl right now. She texted me this morning who reached out to me. She's a young thing in real estate, and the same exact story. I keep getting these phone calls, honestly, to your point, to mentor younger women, which is such a strange concept, because I'm like, what do you mean younger?
Yeah, I was on a mentorship.
What do you mean younger? I am younger. Just kidding. But no, in all seriousness, I really do. I really do, and I really enjoy it. And I kind of find myself even being led by younger people than myself, such as you and Isaiah, and who goes to your church. And
I took over he was director of First Impressions and helped bring me on to Keller Williams. So he was actually
I love
the first
him.
step.
He is such a good
He's
man.
He's great.
I feel so sort of in step with him and where he's going right now, just taking these huge faith steps before the rock is even under your foot right now.
Yeah, he's a dreamer.
I'm like blowing his phone up the last week. He's like, please talk to me. We're in the same boat. I'm taking a big step. You're taking a big step. How are you doing? How are you coping? How are you blah, blah, blah?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's just another brother of mine in Christ. And so to your point, I was going to land this plane and just say that I oftentimes find that circles of influence sometimes everybody thinks it's all about your followers, on social. It's really not. It's really like the 10 people around you that you see most often, or the 20 or 30 people you see most often. I mean, that's where you're going to have the greatest deal of influence. And so anyway, I sort of lost my train of thought. But with that said, I do like the fact that you were intentional about surrounding yourself with people who are better than you, and then people who could also be
it's
brought
like
up
it's like a river. Otherwise, it's like a swamp. Like if you're always receiving and never giving out, then it's like, what am I doing with this? But if you're always giving out, then you're drained and you're dry. So you've got to have that give and take, or that take and give. You've got to have that flow. All of us need that flow.
Yeah. What about the pressure of providing leads? I know when I was in mortgage, okay, so I ran, you might not know this about me. Back when I was in mortgage, I used to run the entire state of Tennessee for the nation's second largest home builders mortgage subsidiary company. That was a mouthful to say.
Right.
I don't want to name the company. But I had a lot of people under me, and providing for that business to make sure the retention, I mean, it's a real pressure.
Yeah.
It's a real weight to carry, you know. And when it was new for me, it was, I learned a lot of lessons.
Right.
I had to check my anger, my temper. Boy, did I develop the fruit of self-control in that season.
I think I've had to
2016.
check pride at the door more, because you can almost come, it's like, I think the hardest client for me to represent is the one that doesn't trust me to do the job, which is rare. But when that happens, or when sometimes they just have trust issues in general, like it has nothing to do with you, but that's always the hardest to direct, or they have their own ideas of things, even though you have millions of experience, and you're just like, okay, let me listen to this, because maybe they have something. Just because I've done it successfully doesn't mean I can't learn something. But also, like, if they ultimately don't choose to trust you, team member, client, I will be quick to say, go find someone you can.
Wow, that's good.
Go find
There's
someone
wisdom
you
in
can.
that for the both of you, actually.
Yeah, because otherwise it's a losing battle. Like, if you don't have that trust, like that's what
I think
fiduciary.
trust should have been like one of the 5 love languages that Gary put in his book. I just feel like it should have been 6 instead of 5.
Yeah.
Because I love that book, but I feel like, a lot of real estate agents tell me this, how much they value trust, because really trust is
It's a fiduciary responsibility. It's a trust-based, industry.
but it's also like a form of honor, if you think about it, right?
Yeah.
So like when you trust somebody, that's like you're saying to that person, I feel safe with you. I honor you. Like, I'm honoring your intelligence. I'm honoring your experience. I'm honoring your wisdom. And when somebody, at least this is how I feel. I'm just speaking for me personally, I guess. But I think trust is a love language, full on. I think trust is a love language called faith.
Yeah, and it's hard to not take it personally, but if we go back, honestly, this is one of the first lessons I learned in leadership, and I'm just 6 or 7 months into this. I went back to the Garden of Eden, and God is perfect, and they still didn't follow what he told them to do. Like, sometimes you've got to let them make mistakes, and out of love, help them get back on track. So, like, I've even had an agent who pointed the open house in the wrong direction of the house, like pointing people away from the house. So, like, I've learned, like, state the obvious. Obviously, that's just a small mistake, but it exemplifies a point of, like, you really have to over communicate. And I can't just expect someone to know what to do if I didn't teach them.
I am the worst about that. Can I just tell you?
Sure.
I am the worst about thinking that people automatically understand what I'm saying.
They don't.
And when I'm introducing new concepts, like, I'm like, what's the matter with you? You don't see on the inside of my brain? You don't have the canvas of my imagination?
I've learned that thought process for the past 3 months. Why aren't you with it?
Yeah.
No, you have to train. And whenever something's not working out, I'm learning to look at myself and saying, have I done everything possible to help this person succeed?
That's good.
Like, as a leader, have I set them up for success? And if there's anything else I can do to help them succeed, I'm going to do that before I let them go. Same thing for clients, same thing it's like, I love equal business stature. I don't want to ever talk up to someone like they're my parent, nor talk down like they're my child. It's like, we are in this together.
You know, I
on the
remember
same
you
page.
saying that when we did the last time we filmed together, actually.
Right.
That's a whole other conversation.
The lost footage.
We should tell that story on bloopers, Robert. Robert is cracking up laughing behind the camera. But no, I do remember you saying that. You know, that really stuck with me.
Awesome.
Because I feel like, just as a mother, I needed to adopt that principle because I felt like it was drawing my 19-year-old daughter up to a higher level. And you know what else? Ever since you said that to me, I find myself changing the way that I speak to, when I'm talking about like something spiritual I've encountered in my life, I tell people, I say, listen, I know you might not believe the same as me, or even if they're believers, you might not believe in giftings or whatever. I'll just say, just pretend you do for a second. Let me tell you what happened. And suddenly they reposition like their mental stance, and they envision themselves in a place of, okay, I'm now pretending in my mind like I am a person that's trekking with Christina. And it seems like it opens places in minds of being able to receive like what it is I'm saying on a deeper level.
Yeah, and people have to feel heard for them to listen too. You know, like
Are you telling me I'm talking too much?
No. I'm just saying that ultimately listening opens the door for you to speak.
Yeah.
I sometimes, like on these consultations, I find myself like spouting out, here's everything I know, here's everything, this is the way we did it, this is how we won. Like I had one client, we recently won $50,000 less. We were conventional, we won at 600 conventional, and we beat out a 650 cash. All because of a story, because it allowed my clients to take care of a mother. Because like
Tell us that story.
That story, it's set to close tomorrow, and I had busted my tail and probably connected with this agent as much as I possibly could without it becoming overbearing.
Okay.
And so I was on the phone by the time I was done, he was like, Josh, I've never seen someone represent clients the way that you do. On that, which is a huge compliment on the other side. I've heard that twice this year.
Wow.
Which is great, and I take that as a compliment, because when your colleagues, like someone on the opposite side, notices that the level that you're doing is actually at the best that it can be done, or the best that you can bring to the table at that point, like that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And so for this particular client, I knew what this market is. People don't always sell for money. We think they do, but they don't. They sell for what's important to them. If they choose that the most money is most important to them, they'll sell for that reason. But if it's not the most important, it's my job as the agent to figure that out if at all possible. To that list agent, or like I will even get on the phone and ask, what's most important to your seller? And just be completely transparent and honest and say, we are bringing the best that we can to the table. We know we're up against 40 different people for this house. What makes this a win for your client? That's the market that we're in right now.
Don't you leave. We'll be right back with more of SOAR Talk right after these messages from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm Debbie Schreiber with Choice Home Warranty. Choice Home Warranty is out to disrupt the warranty industry with our unique claims dispatch system, our top-notch customer service, and experienced sales reps like myself with over 25 years in the warranty industry to provide you and your clients with the best experience. Don't your clients deserve the best choice? Come check us out at chwpro.com.
How many agents will answer the question, how many won't? Give a percentage, like is it 50-50?
I think one of the gifts that I have is discernment, and also one of the gifts is being direct and kind at the same time. Like I'm going directly for the closing table, and I'm also doing it in a way that's not running people over.
Okay.
So I have a lot of success with it because of the way that I ask.
Okay.
Right, and I do something that's called mirroring. There's a book by Chris Voss called Never Split the Difference, and he does a master class as well. And he is a high stakes hostage negotiator, to where when someone has a gun up to their head, he's the one that's on the phone for the FBI to get that person to live, and get that person who's not in their right mind to not kill that person.
And what was the name of the book
Chris
again?
Voss.
Okay.
Never Split the Difference.
Wow.
What he will say is use like you're a lower midnight radio voice. If someone is really, really, really amped up, combat it with just being chill. And that honestly helps.
The gift of chill can be found in like 1 Corinthians chapter 12 with the extra verse we're going to put right in there, right at the end.
That's
so
great.
Technically this passage ends at 10. We'll just like put like 10 part C, the gift of chill.
The gift of chill.
I don't know why I knew that passage all of a sudden.
But, or I'll mirror them. Sometimes you have to go a little bit toe to toe. So like if they're enjoying their life and I'm rambunctious, you've got to enjoy with them so that they connect with you.
Gotcha.
I think whenever I'm on the phone with those agents, I'm actually trying to connect with them.
And so
that
you can
my
draw
client
that
wins.
information out for
I
creating
almost
offers.
always have success with
So what was in this story, what was the thing that the seller wanted?
They were in their 80s. I knew that sometimes agents share personal information. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they should. Sometimes they shouldn't. And I knew that they were elderly. They were moving out. And I knew that my client, her father, was actually doing poorly health-wise, and he's actually since passed. So, but it allowed her to take care of their mother. I knew right before they were choosing our offer versus another offer, and it was like I was on the phone with the agent saying, my client will close. This other agent, like if it doesn't close, it doesn't count. Like I was vetting, I was standing up for my clients wanting this house so much and we were financially, I was just basically promoting all of our strengths that we could, and saying that we would make it to the closing table. And then at the very end of it, I really feel like this was from the Lord. And then it was like, share why. This property means so much to my clients because it allows them to take care of their mother, and she has a place to live in this place, and they don't have a place for her where they're at, which is all true. And that ultimately connected with the 80-year-olds who are selling their home now to a younger family, because the story of letting this younger family take care of their mom, which now is important because now the father passed and the mom does need a place to stay. And so I love residential real estate because it matters on a personal level to my clients. And so I love what I get to do because it changes the drive that they have to work every day. It changes their neighbors. It changes their school district. There's so much riding on where someone lives, and I get to be a part of it.
That's awesome. I love the story, and I love the philosophy about the intrinsic value of real estate. So
I love it.
With that being said, I think we're going to call it a wrap. So, Josh, thank you so much for being on the set today and coming to visit SOAR. We oftentimes have Josh in several things at SOAR. He's an expert contributor. You'll see him in Pocket Preview Magazine later this year. You may have already seen him at SOAR Awards. So he is very, very plugged in here. And Nina Lampley, you should do the same thing.
Come on, Nina.
We love you. All right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.
I didn't come from lunch or own no diamonds. Yeah, I was barely getting by, we survived like lions. But now I'm the king, now I'm a titan. Yeah, 'cause I'm a hustler, yeah, I'm a hustler. 'Cause I'm a hustler, yeah, I'm a hustler. Keep turning up the